A coloured Digivice is something that fans of Digimon have most likely wanted since the original Digivice toy was released 25 years ago. And not to mention, especially since the various Super CSA and CSA releases have popped up over the years, it's been something more recently that fans have been really wanting from Bandai. And then, in the second half of 2024, fans finally got their wish with the Digivice 25th colour evolution. But is the colour Digivice actually worth the hype? And more importantly, is it worth the money? Straight off the bat, let's go into some positives, but I will be going over the negatives and just miscellaneous bits and bobs from this release, and we'll sort of talk about whether or not you should buy the Digivice colour or if it's for you. So let's go into some positives. So first of all, the battery life is fairly decent. I'm finding myself only really needing to charge it with sort of like occasional play, maybe once a week. I have heard that people can get about 6 to 8 hours of continuous play out of it. So it's kind of what you would expect from something like this. That seems almost on par with the Nintendo Switch, for example. So if you're continuously playing with something, obviously it's going to last a smaller amount of time than if you're just kind of using it casually. I've been kind of using it as I walk or run on the spot just to go through the story mode of the Digivice color, as I would with the previous Digivice pedometer releases. So I find myself charging it maybe once a week or, every few days, but that's just kind of with some casual play. But continuous play, you're sort of expecting maybe 6 or so hours, and that's of course depending on the brightness you have the screen and the volume, whether or not you have the LEDs and vibrations on or off. That sort of thing is sort of what you'd expect from something like this. Something I really, really love about the Digivice color is that there are different battles that have different battle mini-games. So you've got the usual button mashing and shaking, which is something that you've probably seen on previous pedometer Digivice toys, but you also have a timing-based kind of Simon Says-esque button press game. It tells you what button to press and then you press it, and you've got to sort of press them within the time limit. So you have these 3 different types of battle mini-games, and it makes it feel a little bit more varied than if you just had just the button mashing or just the shaking. It kind of spices it up a little bit, so you're not always just shaking it, you're not always just button mashing, you're kind of doing some different things, and it makes it a little less stale to mix it up a little bit with different types of these mini games. Of course, there are insert songs from the anime that play during battles and evolutions, and that's a nice touch. The partner Digimon do say their attacks when they attack, which is nice. However, something that's odd, at least in the earlier part of it, is that the opponent Digimon are typically silent when they attack. It's kind of weird. They don't even just growl or roar or say their name. It's just kind of absolutely silent except for the background music and the sound effects. There's no voice line or grumbles or whatever from the opponent Digimon. And that's something that's a bit weird, but otherwise it's fine. I really appreciate the volume and the different voices and the sound effects, especially with the insert songs that are from the Japanese release of Digimon Adventure. That's pretty cool. Something else that I appreciate is how similar to the Vital Bracelet BE, but different to the previous pedometer Digivices, is the fact that if you're walking and you miss the attack alert, like if you're listening to music and you don't quite hear the notification that you've got a battle, it actually just waits for you rather than just automatically giving you the loss like with the previous Digimon Digivice toys, where you would just walk, and then you'd be like, oh, I haven't checked my Digimon for a while, and it's injured because you missed a battle call. So it kind of waits for your input there. That is such a cute little quality of life feature, and something that I've always wanted from the Digivice pedometer toys. So that's a huge plus for me. That's probably my favourite feature, even though it feels kind of like a small feature. It's just something that I really love. Something else that I like is that how each of the areas have a different background. Now this feels like an obvious addition, but it's kind of one that I just appreciate. Like, you're in Toy Town, you have a Toy Town backing, you're in Factorial Town, you have a Factorial kind of town factory-esque backing. That's something I really appreciate. And a kind of a somewhat related point, I absolutely just adore the fact that your Digimon doesn't just run on the spot. The background actually moves with its steps, so it gives it a little bit more of a realistic looking movement rather than just running on the spot. That's something nice. Again, that feels like it should be an obvious thing, but I just really loved it. I don't know why, what I was expecting, just running on a static background, but it kind of moves, and there's actually things like in the foreground and background that change, so it feels more realistic. You're not just walking in like just empty space, you're actually walking through a setting. That's really great. Another kind of like thing I was worried about with the release, and something that is something I really love and appreciate about this release, is the fact that there are barely any exclusives. There's just kind of these cosmetic items that you can decorate your camp with, and that's good because I don't regret only just getting the one. With a lot of other both Digimon and Tamagotchi releases from Bandai, it's kind of expected for you to have 2 or more, especially with something like the Digimon version 20th, for example. To unlock the Agumon, Gabumon, etc. eggs, you have to connect with 5 other DM 20ths. In addition to, like, you know, you can't just connect 5 times to the same one, you have to connect to 5 different toys. So that's something that I always found annoying. Of course, you can use the DCOM or ACOM to unlock that, but on the Digivice Color, there's no special exclusive things that you get depending on what version you have, and it doesn't require you to have all of them, like how we saw with the SCSAs, where if you have all 3 of the D-Arcs, for example, you can unlock something, and each of the 3 D-Arcs come with a different array of cards, and you can kind of like use them with each other. So there's nothing like that, so you're not punished for only getting 1. But of course, you do have the cute little cosmetic differences that are on the other ones. So if you were a collector and you want lots of them, you're also kind of given something nice. So it's a nice win-win for those who get 1 and also those who get 1 of each. So that's something great. There is a feature that I don't really care for, however, but it is still a positive because it's something that I can see a lot of people using. But there is an increased step speed feature. So it means that you can go through the game a little bit faster. I personally would rather take my time with this and kind of just play it as I've been playing it, but it is nice to know that you can increase the step speed. Again, this feature's not really something that I'm interested in, but if someone wants to go through the game a little bit faster, or if they aren't able to walk around as much, it is a pretty cool feature, and it's kind of one that I wouldn't even think of being added, but it's kind of there, and I just thought I'd mention that. Even though I'm not myself interested in the feature, it is nice to have the option to increase your step speed. Then lastly, of course, the animations are great, and the music and the voices are pretty great too, but in addition to this, I love the lights and the vibrations, both of which you can turn off onto settings, which is something else that I like, so that also will increase battery life depending on if you have that on or off. So that's kind of nice, but it is nice to have the vibrations as well. I don't know why, but I wasn't expecting the vibrations. I should have been, because the D-Scanner Super CSAs had it. So it's kind of like a cool little thing, and it sort of makes it feel more real, I guess. So those are my positives. So I do like the Digivice, but of course I do have some negatives as well. My first negative is that the sprites are mostly VB sprites. Some of them have been redone from the Vital Bracelet, but a lot of them are just the exact same sprite from the Vital Bracelet. This isn't really like a full con, but it is a kind of... Some of them don't really fit in particularly well, so I just thought I'd mention it. Again, it's not like a full negative, a full con or anything, it's just something that I thought I'd mention, and yeah. The VB sprites are kind of back again, but whatever. There's a huge cast of Digimon in this, so I can't fault Bandai too much. Another thing that I'm personally not really a fan of is that they feel like, as in the Digivice Color, feels like it has a lot less content, like it's a lot less content heavy compared to the previous pedometer Digivices. The step goals are a lot smaller than we've seen in the previous releases. They're only a few hundred steps, and there aren't mini bosses between, you know, the start of that area and the end. You kind of just go through, and then once you're finished with the steps, you fight the boss. There's not any of those mini bosses. I mean, you could say that each area is its own mini boss, and then you have the secret area or the final boss at the end, but it just feels a little bit less content heavy than we've seen in the previous pedometer toys. So it feels like there's less, but that's just me. That's just me loving the original releases, and it feels like they added some great animations and some great sounds, but at the risk of cutting actual gameplay and content. But again, you can't expect too much because it is a cross between a CSA, or Super CSA rather, and a pedometer Digivice toy. So, and then my last con, so I don't really have many negative cons about this, and this is a very minor personal one here, but I kind of wish there was more than just the one sound setting. I wish you could control the background music, the voices, and the effects separately. There's just the one setting. Again, this is just very personal, but sometimes I'd like, you know, maybe more voice but less background, or more like softer effects, maybe no voice, and then still use the background music. But that's just me. That's just like my personal opinion on it. It's still, I mean, at least you get like, it's not just on and off for the sound settings, it's actually a scale. That's great. But I wish that you could control a little bit more. But again, it's a fairly minor complaint there. Lastly, I do have some miscellaneous kind of thoughts that aren't really pros or cons of the Digivice color, but they're just kind of worth mentioning. So again, there's no connection-based unlocks. That's a surprise. Kind of a good thing. You only need one. Doesn't require having anything else. That's something I mentioned as a positive of the release. But it would be cool to kind of unlock some things by connecting to a Digimon color or a pendulum color, for example, because you can connect with those. It would be nice, even if it's not a like, you know, a big, you know, Digimon that you can only unlock with this, or a special area. It doesn't have to be like anything super annoying, but maybe like, I don't know, just like, I don't know, a background or some sounds, I don't know, something minor, just a small item. Maybe like you get the item for the camp area of like the Digimon original, or a Digimon pendulum original for the table. I don't know, but it would be nice to have that. But again, I'm not too annoyed that we don't have those connection-based unlocks. Another thing that it's kind of, it's almost a negative, I guess, but it's the fact that while the light-up colors are very nice and it just looks phenomenal in the dark, when I was recording footage, I was noticing that my light box, if I just have the lights off in the light box, it actually looks better than if I have the lights in my light box on, because of all the lights on the actual Digivice itself. So the lights are great, they look nice, but they do look less nice on the Yamato and Taichi Digivices, since they're already coloured, like the shell itself is coloured. They look much better on the anime colour one, and this, yeah, again, this is because the Matte and Tai one already have that orange and blue tinge, so all of the colours have that orange and blue tinge, rather than the anime colour, which is a very, very, very light blue. You could almost say it's like a white, it's so light blue. So that's kind of a thing, like the colours aren't true on the DX version ones. The only reason I got the Yamato one was for the DX set goodies, which I've mentioned in my unboxing, and that's the only reason why I got that one. If they had the anime colour with the DX set goodies, I would have absolutely gotten that one, and it looks a lot better when it's lighting up as well, but I wanted the goodies, so I went with the Yamato one, so all of the lights and colours have an additional blue tinge to it. Lastly, I do like the secret area unlocks. It does add more content and adds an extra level of difficulty, something else to work towards, but I can see that some people might say that this is a little bit grindy, so it's neither here nor there. So, would I recommend this? I would recommend it to fans of the Vata Bracelet and the Super CSAs who also enjoy the pedometer Digivices. because that's what it feels like. It honestly feels like a complete cross between the Vital Bracelet, a Pedometer Digivice, and the Super CSAs. Perhaps more so the VB and the Super CSAs, as it does lean more into that, but that's just what I noticed. So if you're a fan of all three of those and you want something that is a perfect combination of those, I'd recommend this Digivice, absolutely, because that's what it is. It is absolutely a Super CSA with the pedometer functionality, which, you know what, that's what Bandai advertised it as, so it's spot on there. So yes, I do mostly recommend the Digivice color. I'm having some great fun with it. I like the Super CSAs, and I like the Vital Bracelet, and I like the Pedometer Digivices. So it's kind of great for me, but you have to also really appreciate the Super CSA mechanics, as well as the Pedometer Digivice toy mechanics. So yes, I would recommend it mostly, just mostly, because being a premium Bandai product means that it's going to be quite costly, and it's effectively pre-order only, so it's just going to get more expensive the further away from the original release, because again, premium Bandai Japan, pre-order only, kind of hurts the actual aftermarket of it. So already people are trying to sell it for kind of unfair prices. This video is not sponsored by anyone, but as far as I saw, Zen and TCG had some leftover stock that they were selling at pretty much release price, so I'd recommend looking there. I don't think Hobby Genki had any leftover. I know that various Australian retailers like Sugo Toys and EB Games have it for, or had it for a release of September. I don't think they're going to have any on release, but it'd be interesting to see if they do. But it's kind of a harder thing to get aftermarket because of the fact that it was premium Bandai Japan and pre-order only. So kind of an annoying thing there. So while I do recommend it and I do enjoy playing with it, there are other Pedometer Digivice toys that are more fun and more cost effective because of, again, the premium Bandai Japan tax. But those are basically all my thoughts on the Digivice 25th Color Revolution. It's something, again, that fans have wanted for a very long time. Kind of myself included. I'm not, like, I love just the monochrome display. So it's not something I was, really wishing for, but it is nice to have, and I do really love it. So yes, I would recommend it, but again, it's kind of those things that, like, if you want it and you have the money to get it now, do get it now, because otherwise you're most likely going to be paying kind of silly prices when when you decide you want one in 5 years or what have you, or even in a year, unless of course Bandai come out and do like a re-release of these ones. There is a second wave coming of just the same with the anime color or the 2DX sets, and that I believe is like October, November, so keep your eyes out for that, but I wouldn't keep it too long. I would definitely jump on it as soon as I could if I were you and you wanted the Digivice color and not to pay the Digivice color a year from now prices. But yep, those are my thoughts on the Digivice color. Let me know your thoughts, comments, questions, etc., etc. in the comment section below. Like this video for yay, we got a color Digivice. Like, 2024 is truly the year of Bandai releasing things that fans have wanted for ages. We got the Tamagotchi Connection re-release, and now we have the Digivice color as well. So subscribe if you haven't already. If you have subscribed, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, and of course, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!